Hi, and good evening, and welcome to Hanging with Howie, the absentee Howie edition. Because Howie, unfortunately, doesn't have power this evening, so we're taking the helm for Howie, and we're going to hold the fort down as we talk about the marketing training seminar that happened on DJNTV tonight. Joining us tonight, we have DJ Mikey Mike from Wilkesburg, Pennsylvania.
Hello, everybody.
We got DJ Steve Slick from Savannah, Georgia.
Hello, everybody.
Tried and true Bostonian and fellow wingman and accomplice, DJ J.
What's up?
From California.
How are you?
And I guess I'll be the acting host. My name is DJ John, and I'm out of Boston. So welcome, everybody, and thank you guys for being here. Tonight's topic on the forum for the DJNTV Training Seminar was marketing. And it had a lot to do with the way we take the pictures, how we get the media from the events, and how we use that for our sales, our advertising, and our own purposes that we put on our websites or our Facebooks, Instagrams, TikToks, etc. There were 4 speakers, and what I wanted to do is I'll just call off the speaker so we can at least acknowledge each of the guys that took the time. And I'm going to just mention a few of the hot points that they came up with, and I thought maybe we could just kind of talk if it's things that how we do them and if we do them the same or if we do them differently and what our thoughts were. So we'll lead right in here. So the first speaker was Carlos Ruiz, and he has his wife of a few years, he said, is his assistant, and she does a lot of the photography and video work for him so he can focus on the DJing. He did show a few clips, and he's to the extent where he will get drone footage over the venue prior to the event, and he'll take a lot of B-roll, which just means the room before it starts, some video of the cake, the area, the grounds, what he does is he takes the footage later, he brings it back home, and he edits it because he's shooting a lot of things with multicam. So he has different cameras, different angles. We'll show a section of the dance floor, and he'll do like a cutaway to the grounds and then come back to it. So for Carlos, I guess the question would be, how far do you take it with the video editing, and how much of that can you really use on your own websites? Who wants to lead off?
Well, video editing, I use Wondershare, and I'm not into the drones or anything like that. Basically, I'll use my iPhone, or I bought a Sony ZV-1, which is great. It has a little tripod. You have a little remote. You take pictures. You shoot video. Awesome. With the iPhone, I use my DJI Osmo. Again, that's excellent for stabilization. It's a wonderful machine. They just came out with a new one that has an extension on it, so you can do more like with a selfie effect and stuff like that. For editing photos, I use Photoshop.
Okay. And just a quick follow on that. Is that all you, or do you have someone with you that's shooting the video?
Just me.
Just you. So just solo up and you do it all by yourself?
Yes.
Okay. How about you, Steve?
I've done a few things with, not too much video, more like progressional videos, pictures, so they just kind of collaborate together. But that's like old school way. But now I've also been working with like a photo director or video director that the Microsoft has on the actual computer. That's workable.
Okay. What I thought was unique about what Carlos was going into this is that he didn't necessarily need the footage from the on-scene videographer because he was getting his own, which I thought was, brave considering, how much we have to do. Jay, what do you do for pictures and video?
I've always had a difficult time, and I hope this doesn't fly in the face of what was said in general, but I've always had a tough time getting footage. There's a few photographers who've been very quick to respond and get me footage, but you do a wedding on a Friday and you send out an email on Monday and Thursday, and then you do another bank of weddings and you're kind of on to the next photographer. So I've been fortunate to work with some enough that they'll get me footage, but I'm not their biggest priority. So when it comes to like dance footage, I have to capture that myself. I've always worked solo, so I've always either relied on my phone, or for a very long time I used a flip, which I think Sony made. In fact, I did about 540 videos on YouTube with a flip cam. Just this tiny little, looks like a phone. And, you know, the quality wasn't amazing, but it got the point across, because I think people will forgive the quality if the action is great. The problem I always had with the quick cuts was just, I never seemed like it was in time. So I used to try to shoot the dance section as a mix, so you could physically see me mixing tracks. And that really got me a lot of work in respects to, oh, we've seen what you can do. I mean, now we have Twitch, so that's a little bit different. But I try not to be constantly on my phone at an event. And I've had some events that were mind-blowingly good, but they were so good and I was so in the moment, I couldn't take my phone out. And at the end of the night, I really regret not capturing it, but I don't regret doing what I did, if that makes sense. Because I think there's a point where, I used to yell at a couple of DJs who I will remain nameless, that they would be at an event posting on Facebook or, Twitter or Instagram constantly. And I'm just like, your clients are eventually going to ask you if you're DJing or just taking pictures. But, that was 5-6 years ago. I think it's different now.
Sure. Well, there's a time and a place. If the couple wants to do that, that's their right. But us as hired help, so to speak, we should probably let them have first crack at it. And we'll let them look at the pictures later and let them decide what they'd like us to put up or what they'll allow us to put up.
Well, I've never gotten, it's funny you bring that up. I know people that do like these signs and everything else that they're being filmed. I've never had a client come back to me and be like, we didn't like that photo, because I've always used what I thought was my best judgment to put everyone in a good light. Last night, as I told you guys before we went on air, I did a 21st birthday party. Well, the very end of the night, I played Surfer Girl by the Beach Boys, and the dad and daughter, it was her 21st birthday, just slow danced. And I took probably like 5 or 6 photos and some video, and I just sent it to the mom's phone. And I was like, you were out of the room. I thought you might like these. And she was really touched by that. So I think it speaks to what you just said, John, about if you get some, I've definitely sent clients photos that were great. A quick warning, I've also told groomsmen and bridesmaids, if I'm there early enough, please stay off your phones on social media right now. What do you mean? I've done a wedding where the groom, before the first look, one of the bridesmaids posted a picture of the bride on Instagram and tagged him. And he saw his bride before the first look, and he was really hurt by that. Yeah. So every time I've told a wedding party that, they really take it to heart. Post these later, but you don't need to post it now before anyone else gets to see her. Let that moment be captured by the group.
No, that's very sage advice for those that would be very traditional, and superstitious of sorts. Well,
can you imagine a DJ taking a photo of the bride and then hopping on Instagram, posting it, your groom follows you, and you've now shown the groom his bride before he sees her?
Yeah, at the altar.
I could see that being a little bit disheartening.
That's all. That would be awful.
Yeah, I'd be pretty pissed off myself.
No, for sure. Well, when you had mentioned that you get the some of the footage from the photographers later, I've actually found that I've got some video clips from the couples later. Is that I didn't see I didn't receive anything from videography of the photographer, but later meeting with the couple, speaking to them after, like, oh, we got some great video, you got to check it out. And next time we run into one another, they show me that. And would you mind sending me a clip of that or that sample or that picture that I could use for my webpage? And you wrote me a nice thank you card. I'd like to use your words, and so I get the permission.
Sure.
So then I'm allowed to have a photo and maybe a little blurb about them, which is, I think that's procedurally the right way to probably handle that.
Well, and you've unraveled something on top of the topic is, do you promote following and having your clients follow you on social media? Mm-hmm. Because I never thought it was that important. And then I noticed clients following me automatically. So I started to follow my clients automatically because I realized it was good advertising, because they could see what I was doing outside of their event. And I would get comments like, I can't wait for our wedding. I just saw this photo. They look so happy. I'm so stoked you're our DJ. And you start to realize even the work you do at a different event can impact the events you haven't even done yet.
Sure.
Yes.
And that was actually our second speaker, but we'll get back to him. I want to skip him first and go to number 3, which was Jim Cerrone, who's a little bit more on the photography. The second speaker, Aaron Strawn, talked out about that specifically, YouTube channel, gig logs, and addressing your clients through social media. So we're going to come back to him, but we'll tackle Jim because he was more on the photography element. And he said one of the biggest things, his biggest takeaway was, don't look like a photographer if you're the DJ. He said he was in a situation where the actual photographer got a picture and he's in it and he's holding this gargantuan news camera. And that's the look that he shows up in the pictures because he's trying to get his good pictures. And the argument was most phones now will take good enough pictures. We're not looking for, high resolution quality. We just need something for our pages, and we don't have to be so extravagant that we're bringing these telephoto lenses. Because when we show up in the pictures, it's like, oh, is that the photographer? No, that was the DJ. He just happened to have a camera that was better than the photographer. So his points were take pictures of the fun, not our gear, not our setup, not the cake. Get people having fun if those are the pictures you want to use for your marketing. Because again, it all comes back to the marketing. Taking clear pictures, filling the frame, getting out from behind the booth to get a picture, and trying to catch faces and expressions and not just backs of heads. Because as DJs, we all know if you take a picture from the booth, you get a lot of backs of heads and there's no identity to the people. Well, would anybody have any tips or tricks as to how they sneak out from behind the booth to get pictures covertly, or do you have a helper, or what's your strategy?
Well, I can take this one.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead, Steve. You go first.
Okay. So back when I used to do clubs, I used to DJ. Of course, I took over I would be the assistant DJ, and then I would jump out, and then he would take over, and I would actually get in the floor and catch them right in the act, and they had no idea I was there, just by sneaking. That's why, as you see, last name on my thing says Slick.
Okay.
And I will get that picture and I'll post it when I get done that night. Yeah, that was always me. I was always picking and choosing, seeing who was the more involved crew. Get that right picture at the right time.
And it wouldn't hurt if you dressed up like a ninja and snuck out there in all black so they don't see you in the middle of the floor.
Right.
No, that's great. It's to sneak up on them, the element of surprise, and get the without getting in the way of the hired photographer. Obviously, you don't want to be in his shots or in his opposing background. Mike, you had something.
No, again, it goes with the equipment. Like I said, I use the Sony ZV-1. It has a little tripod. I just put that on the table by me. I have the remote. I could just hit it when I want it. Take the picture, take a video. Same thing with the DJI Osmo. I mount my phone to take a picture, take a video. One thing I do tell all my clients is create a hashtag, because your photographer can only be at one place at one time. Same with your videographer. Something may be happening funny over a different part of the venue. You got people taking pictures. They create that hashtag, they upload it, and that's a part of their album. I did one wedding, and it started off with like 300 pictures on this hashtag. By that Wednesday on their honeymoon, the couple called me. They had 8,800 pictures by using their hashtag, pictures and videos, and they were totally amazed. They said, "Why did we even hire a photographer?"
Right.
So it really worked for them, and it worked for me. So now I just keep passing that along.
Sure. Jay, I know you do a lot more video than you do still frames. Your videos from your gigs that you put up on YouTube are always great, and they're always clear and crisp. What's your secret?
When I was using the flip, I put it on one of those little gorilla stands, and I would either have it a little behind me or a little off to the side of me, or if I could angle it up so you could see the laptop and the gear at a little bit of an angle, but more of the crowd. But that I use to do mixes. Now with the iPhone, even though I have a stand, I find I'm just capturing moments. And a lot of times, I learned this early on, and this is a Brian Red thing. He did a video on lighting, and he said, if you think your lights look great, go in front of the booth and look at them. And a lot of times when you do, you think you're staring down a tunnel at a train light, because it's just on the crowd. What you see as the DJ and what you hear is much different than what you see and hear as, you know, the audience. So I've been making a point to try to go out and take one photo at the other end of the dance floor. And you just have to pick the right moment. You know, if you can get out of the booth and get on the side of the crowd, just something that shows exactly what you said, John. Shows everyone having a good time, shows more of their expressions, more of their faces. You know, I'm plagued with photographers and videographers that are using a lot of lighting. You know, I've had videographers that I've had to literally ask, you think it'd be possible to shut off one of these lights? Oh, well, the client. I'm like, I just asked the client, and they're the ones that asked me. Like, you've got these two huge halogens shining, like it's crystal clear, like it's sunlight. And I know they have a job to do, but I'm like, what would your video look like if you didn't have those and you just had my lights? Like, wouldn't it look cool? Because to me, this looks really cool. Like, I can clearly see everyone. There's market lights. So, you know, I think getting a perspective is important, you know, and I think I agree with Jim on that.
Yeah.
And
sadly, photographers, they don't realize that they're washing out all the color that we spent an hour setting up and all the cool looks they could have had, and they just want everything just headlight white.
Yeah, I love when I get those albums of 700 photos, and it's like, you know, setup and pre-wedding and first look and ceremony and cocktail, and then I get to the reception and the dancing, and I'm like, okay, they look like they're having fun, but I'm not in one of these photos. Yep, there's my Evolve 50 speaker. And I think there's a little bit of blue light on that woman's leg, but they're never taken from that perspective. I've asked photographers if they'd be offended if I showed up with a photographer. And I've asked clients, and I always get kind of a weird answer from both. Like, why would you bring a photographer? And I've said, because I want to do something for my website. So I'll tell you what I'll do. The photographer will just take photos of me and my gear and people dancing. And then you'll get all the photos that I take. And then I will use some of them on my website. And all of a sudden photographers get really tripped out and offended. And I kind of understand it. You know, so I did away with that thought process. I was like, we'll skip that. Yeah. But I would love to bring a photographer that's focused only on me for a great wedding, just to get those kind of like, because in my mind's eye, I see what the photographers are capable of doing with people. They're just not trying to do it with you.
Yeah, exactly. You know? I can see why it would ruffle the feathers. They think you're
I can too, toes, but I'm trying to explain, like, no, they're only focused on me, and then I'll even give their work over. And it still kind of falls kind of weird.
I hear you. Well, the last thing that Jim had said was, instead of having the gigantic camera, you don't need to take pictures like this anymore. He says just put it on burst, hold it to the side, take about 30 pictures moving it around, do some from up high, do some from down low, and then when you get home, sort them out. And you're not really spending time on the phone. You're just making a motion and getting the quick 30 or 40 pictures that you can pick from, or something you might like later, without being obtrusive, I guess it would be. All right, we're going to jump to the third speaker, which was actually number 2. We went a little out of order. Aaron Strawn, who I guess lives up near John in Minnesota. He's got a YouTube channel, and he does gig logs, and he was talking a little about that side of the marketing. And his big takeaway was content is king. You know, post pics, post videos, nothing dull. Be positive, be authentic. And if you are doing a voiceover in more of a gig log style, speak directly to your future clients. Don't speak to DJs. Keep it positive. Don't say, oh, can you believe they got these ugly curtains hanging in this place? You know, be professional, keep it positive, and speak to the next person who's going to hire you. Say, look what they did here. Look how beautiful. Here's everybody on that, which I think we all pretty are. Jay, I think you're the only one out of us with the YouTube channel, and your stuff is always content driven and always pretty upbeat. Why don't you start us on this one?
I think it's important. And when I first decided to start the YouTube channel, I wanted to do what I called gig logs. And I would start them off with like, hey, it's April 14th, 2022, and we're here at the beautiful Catamarina Hotel. We're set up today for a wedding. There's set up. This is what 100 people setup looks like. I'm going to be set up over there. And I'd be pointing while I'm filming. I was never on the film, but I would be pointing like, I'm going to be set up there. You've got this beautiful sweetheart table, your cake table. I'm going to be going outside in a little bit. I'll capture some of the ceremony, and then we'll come back in for the party. if you have any questions, please submit them down here, JJDJ for email. And then I would film the rest of it and try to put together a gig log of 2 to 5 minutes, let's say.
Okay. You'd be already set up at that point, or would you be videoing the part where you're taking the gear?
No, you know what? I don't get that part. I think that's for DJs to watch. I don't think clients give it, and nor should they. Clients don't need to see how it's made. They just need to see the final, wow, that looks really sharp. I think showing them you lugging gear around, it just defeats the purpose. If you're making a gig log for a DJ channel, then I think it makes sense to say this is what load-in challenges were, because we care about that. But, a bride shooting around, and I also made them all kind of short, because I felt bride and grooms looking around weren't going to spend 20 minutes on my channel watching a video. So they might give me 3 minutes of their time or 2 minutes of my time just to say, the other thing you're doing is you're proving you've been to a venue. Because it's very easy to lie to people. And, if I say, hey, John, you played at Hunter's Point in Revere, and you're online looking it up really fast going, oh, I love the way the ballroom is set up, viewing the water. You didn't lie to me by saying you'd worked there when you hadn't. You just commented on a photo of the venue. So,
right.
You know what I mean? It's a great...
It helps you be more authentic if you
it really does.
Get
but I think
video evidence, yeah.
Yeah, oh, I love that venue. Yeah, I've shot a few videos there. Here's one of this, here's one of that. Oh, I love the way they have that set up. If you really want to succeed as a DJ, I think you have to really succeed as a wedding vendor. And as a wedding vendor, with each passing year, I answer more and more questions that have nothing to do with music or DJing. And it's because clients look at you like, this is what you do for a living. You've been to all these weddings. We've never done this. We've never hired a DJ. We've never had a wedding. Is this normal? Should I do this? I think we had this talk in a different video about asking to see the floor plan. I mean, it's a very simple way to get the difference between a success. And I tell people the difference between a fail and a success in a wedding for the DJ is often where they're set up. And if I can show you, look how pretty this room looks for 100 people with the tables around the dance floor in the middle, the DJ at one end, the bride and groom at the other. I'm making the statement that I think this is a good look. Do you agree? And if they look at it and say, I love that, then when they show up, everything's backwards, they have something to point to and go, well, we liked this. And it's an easy pull up on their phone. So sure. I think you always want to paint a venue in a good light. I shot one video last summer where I genuinely couldn't hold back at just how disappointed I was in the venue. And it showed in the video, and I never posted the video. Because I flat out say, and look at this. This is just beautiful. And wouldn't you love to see your wedding here?
Was that when you were up in the corner, 3 tables deep to the dance floor, and you're playing across people's heads?
Well, and I was inside of a small little shack thing. I don't even know what it was, winter window frames. And I showed it to Michelle, and she lasted 30 seconds. She goes, just delete it. You can't post this.
They got a 2-wheeler, and they move the parking lot kiosk over, and
that's exactly what it was. Yeah. And I'm just like, wow, this is, if I don't, I think I even commented, if I don't step on one of the rusty nails and need a tetanus shot, maybe these black widow spiders will jump up and attack.
Oh, okay. So you're going hard on them. So.
By the end of the video, I knew it wasn't going to make it. I shot a second one, but even the second, nicer, kinder one was still not good.
Right. When there's more on the editing room floor than there is on the reel, you're like, I should just let this one go.
Well, and I'm sure it'll come up in topic, but this is one of the worst things. I barely ever, if any, edit. So I always shoot with the ideology that this is the video. So even if I shoot 5 parts of it, I'll edit them into one. But as far as being cool and tricky with Photoshop and Premiere and all that, I just don't have the patience or the time. So 90% of videos you see, they're just shot straight. I might clip or, cut a little bit off of one frame to go into the next frame. But with iMovie, I'm just taking 4 2-minute videos and putting them into an 8-minute video and then posting it. And again, it's the point of it is not the cool, here's my hand and a flame comes out of it for me.
Right. One take, no cuts, all the way through.
Yeah, because I don't know the editing that well. So I hear these guys talking about, I edited in this and I'm doing Photoshop and I'm doing Premiere. I wouldn't know what to do with that. And I don't have the patience. It's here's the product, just throw it out there. If it's terrible, I'd take it down. But That's the only way to consistently get a lot of content up, is just to shoot and then try to shoot good content.
Well, sometimes, Jay, that raw video is better than going through and editing everything.
I know, I can see why people like the edit channels, and I do too, and some of them are really cool and they're tricky. But it's sort of like whenever you have to smoke over the point, even a little bit, to me, you're missing the point. It's sort of like
Exactly.
the BSR approach of like, his video starts and it's him in a basement with vinyl. Like, here, okay, let's talk about this. You're not distracted by much of anything else. There isn't a cool like house track playing and the plane takes off in slow motion and lands in sped up motion, and I'm like, what in the heck does this have to do?
I know you're going for an award, right, for the Academy.
Yeah, I envy people
motion
that can do that.
cinematography.
Yeah,
If I had the time, I'd learn how to do all that. But
I just, yeah, you know, I just want to try to get in the moment, because I also realize how on fire people are the next day. Like if you're posting your April gig log in August, you know, you're going to get traction from some people. But if you're posting it the next day and hashtagging it, and it's coming off a hashtag from 24 hours ago, that's a big difference.
that is a big difference.
You know?
Steve, anything on this? Any thoughts?
I mean, it's very good pointers. I mean,
Yeah.
I kind of do that on my daily basis, what I do during the day, but I kind of do the same thing. Basically what Jay was saying is just run.
Okay.
Just run a couple of shots and then slam them together and off the way it goes.
And he said just real quick, the last two things off Aaron that were really good. For your gig logs, it should be mostly about you and show you and your face and you and your booth. But for your advertising and your marketing purposes, brides don't want to see the DJ. They don't want to see our gear. They want to see the faces of the people in the crowd partying and having a good time, because that's what they identify with. And for also another good little snippet on that, if you're going to shoot a dance sequence, don't shoot longer than 30 seconds. Keep it short, keep it moving. They don't want to watch the entire performance. If you have multiple, cut them together and make a montage, 15 seconds, and call that your clip, your best of, so that people don't get bored, because people's attention spans, you know, what were we just talking about? Yeah, that.
Well, you know, but you bring up the business of YouTube. The game is to try to hit 8 minutes, because the advertisements run differently at 8 minutes. There's a different profit base. So if you're trying to show me you had a great wedding yesterday and I see your video is 15 minutes long, unless there was some difficult challenge, or you're just literally showing me you getting out of bed, having breakfast, take a shower, get dressed, like that 15 minutes, like my last wedding video, the EDM one, I think is like 2.5 minutes long. There's like 7 songs in it, because I wanted to show this is what EDM sounds like and looks like. But also in the middle of it, there's a break with 3 or 4 songs that are like Run DMC and Flow Rider and all that, just to give that sense of like, oh, wow, okay, so he's all over the map with this.
Right. But a video like that's for a future client, that wouldn't be for monetization. If you want to release the 8-minute video, then a DJ is going to watch that. But
right,
if you want to show that to someone that's going to book you 2.5 minutes in and out, what do you think? You know,
right.
Very much easier.
I mean, I justify the channel and the camera. I paid $50 for the camera, and I can point to 10 weddings that have come to me and said, we saw your videos on YouTube. We want to talk about booking you. And they all booked. So between that and small monetization, I've gotten the most bang for everything out of YouTube. You know, Instagram is still kind of a like, you go on Instagram because you kind of have to. You have to tell the world, look, I'm still relevant. I'm still doing stuff. But I'm watching the new trend be shoot a video for TikTok, post the video on YouTube. I mean, I'll tell the guy when I see him at Expo, it's getting embarrassing to watch a 60-second video go from YouTube to Instagram to TikTok. And it's the same video.
Oh, the same content on all. Yeah.
No, it's the same video, because what they're doing is they're trying to get across all the platforms, but they're just shooting the one video and then going from TikTok, having it look one way, moving it to Instagram Reel, then moving it over to YouTube, and it ends up on Facebook.
Right.
That's I get your logic, but if people see you on different platforms, they start to dismiss you. At least I do. Because it's like, why should I check you on any platform? I'll look at you for one platform, but the other ones I wash you out, because I know you're just posting the same thing over and over and over again.
Well, That's a great lead in, Jay, to the last speaker, which was actually Jason Jani. And I swear he said the phrase TikTok about 35 times in the span of 30 minutes. He is all about it and all over it and said that is the next big thing. He even has, when he gets his video shot, he has it shot landscape and vertical so that he's got it in both formats. He'll
you have to. 2
cameras going at the same time, so it's less in the conversion to reformat it to be this way or that way. Jason kind of went off on a little bit different in marketing. He was talking about his multi-op and creating branding for his DJs based on their personality and their style and how to advertise them independently, because each one of his people are very individual, very unique. So it's all under his brand, but this one specializes in quick mixes, and this one is the ace at wedding, and this guy's the super great MC. He got into the TikTok, and his whole big point was capture content and get everything. Assume the photographer is going to miss something, get as much as you can. He brings an MC, a DJ, someone that's doing pics in both formats, and a videographer to every event. So that's a team of 3 or 4 going out on every event. Can we, as single ops, all of us, justify the expense of having 2 other people at an event beginning to end for that sort of social media penetration?
No, and I think he's trying to do what I just said about other DJs posting across platform. There's a lot to be said for TikTok. I've been on it for over a year, and it was huge a year ago, and it's even bigger now, and it's considered the only social media channel that people leave happy. Like, you don't go on Instagram and leave happy. You don't go on Facebook and leave happy. You genuinely go to TikTok, and you're hit with so much content so quickly that you do. You laugh, you cry. It's very engaging. I think the issue for DJs is where they're going to miss the mark, in my opinion, and this includes Jani, is you've got to find your niche on it and then stick to that. There are DJs there doing very well, like really well, but they're doing it by showing mashups, or they're doing it by showing like a packed floor. The problem will come when you see 100 of their videos and you look at the whole layout and they pretty much look like it's the same video 100 times. So I think it's going to be weird to tread in there. You know, I think you'll get responses, you'll get good views, and I agree, you have to shoot stuff landscape and vertical because the landscape just looks like crap when I've tried it. It looks terrible when you try to move it into TikTok. It becomes a small square. So I think you should think in your head, oh, this is a TikTok moment because it's the bride throwing the bouquet and maybe one of the girls falls down. That's a TikTok moment. You know, you having a full dance floor, unless you're in it, is a hard TikTok sell. So I think you need in your head to pick and choose. Like, you know, I've done it. I've put the same wedding on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, and I had to shoot it differently. And I picked the moments. I picked one where I showed the bride and groom who were off the dance floor but dancing, and then went back to the packed dance floor. That was the TikTok video shot straight. Then it also became part of a sideways video that went into the YouTube one. So, you know, how much time in the day do you have? If you're gonna,
Wait, that's a lot of hours.
I don't have a crew. So I have to rely on the phone. I have to rely on my ability to figure out what's going to work. But I just think you got to be careful how you paint yourself. You know, if you're showing a big party and you're telling us, well, it takes 3 people to support me to do this big party, you know, does a client care? No, client doesn't care if you bring 33 people. They just want that result. So for that client, showing a CO2 gun going off and having a packed floor looks great. I see the same video and go, am I the only one that's watching a bride shoot the bridesmaid in the face with a CO2 gun? Like, and
somebody should have read the manual.
You know.
But if you had a guy that you paid to be there to do that and make sure the bride couldn't get a hold of it, then you say, now it's all worth it in the end, and it was worth bringing this guy because he took pictures and he also helps me set up, break down, and other, you know, runs over and takes care of the photo booth, whatever else you know,
right. You got your assistant. If you're going to sell if you're going to get cold sparklers, I highly would invest the time in doing TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube video where you not only show how safe they are by putting a piece of paper over them, You have someone shoot you with your hand in them and then show how your hand didn't get burned, because that's the kind of reality that video can show in 60 seconds or 30 seconds. Like, take a dress and hold it over a cold spark, and then when you turn it off, the dress isn't on fire. I mean, that's where TikTok impact comes in.
It seems most of TikTok has to conclude in like an aha moment or a laugh. There's got to be a twist, right? It's all you expect to the end, and then womp womp, something happens, right? And then that's the draw. That's why people will sit and watch 20 or 30 of these at a time about all different topics. So in our world, we just have to be creative. You know, you hit the button, the freight elevator doors open, and there's no elevator there. Wah, wah, you know. Yeah. This is just, that's going down. You throw the Aerosmith clip on it or something. Mikey, Mike, you think you'd pull a team together if you had to do all that type of video business?
I'll tell you, you pull a team together. First of all, you have to have the money to hire these people to work for you. And in this area, northeastern Pennsylvania, they're very, very, I can't say tight with their money, but they're on a limited budget, and they just want to have a nice, beautiful wedding. They're not worried about what you're going to promote on your Facebook page, TikTok, or YouTube channel.
Sure.
They just want you as the DJ. Sure, I shoot videos and I take pictures. The only place I post them is on Facebook. And again, I use a hashtag, whatever they're using for that day, and go from there. And to hire a team, no, I'd rather just go through my stuff that I shot and upload it that way.
Absolutely. I hear you, Mikey, because then it's the training of that team too all the time. You have to spend teaching them how to do all that stuff.
Yes.
Yes. How about you, Steve?
Well, I guess I could have an assistant, but you know, that's money out of your pocket. But I mean, that does take away, you know, your zoning where you could actually do your event, stay in tune with the crowd. It does help out.
Yeah, if they know what they're doing, I suppose there's a benefit to that. But your focus is to play the music and make everybody party and have a good time. And if you got to micromanage a team, then you know maybe you should be in the office and have a DJ go out and do the shows for you. I want hands on the wheels, you know,
yes.
and less time on cameras and less time wondering where my video guy is and things like that.
And what type of video they shot, you know?
Right, and then having the time to go through it the following day and then be a video editor. But I think all in all, with the four speakers, those were four great topics. They touched on a lot of great things, and just our thoughts on them, just to wrap it up for the show tonight. And our viewers, thank you to DJ Mikey Mike. Thank you, DJ Steve Slick. Thank you, DJ J. On behalf of Howie Darkstar, In the Dark, this is DJ John from Boston, signing out of Hanging with Howie. Thank you guys for watching.